routine, and maybe you eat good majorly or most of the time, but snacking is still an issue for you. Well, you're in the right conversation today where I'm going to hopefully provide you with some relief knowing that snacking actually isn't the problem at all. And what we'll further discuss is two concepts that we really want to be mindful of and consider when it comes to snacking so that we can continue to snack consciously while losing weight, maintaining muscle mass, and even seeing more definition in our build. So, here's the very first thing that we need to discuss when it comes to snacking it's what we're snacking on. Okay, so I want you to take a moment to think about your favorite snack. I mean, for me, it's super easy. I have a huge sweet tooth that never went anywhere from childhood, but my favorite snack, chips and ice cream, immediately. These are things that I would eat. Go to the store, I buy a bunch of chips, and I buy a big tub of ice cream to share with my family. But let's be honest, it's pretty easy to get through a tub of ice cream. Like a carton, you can actually eat alone, especially depending on what your favorite ice cream is. I know I can. And so what I had to realize is that snacking on those kind of things would absolutely lead to weight gain. And it did. When I was 30 pounds overweight and I was looking at the things that I was consuming, a lot of the foods were not nutrient dense. And although they taste really good, they were leading to weight gain. And so, what I set out to do for myself was to find alternatives that still tasted really good because we gotta be honest, that's the most important part. While there was still a lot of nutritious benefits that would also lead to me losing weight and then keeping that weight off. So the first thing I need you to think about is what your favorite snacks are. Because whatever your favorite snacks are, I'll let you know right now. We absolutely need to be mindful and conscious about the brand, the ingredients, and the source from which those nutrients are coming from, because that's going to help you along in your journey. Most of the time when we are having a craving for a snack, there are certain things that's coming up for us, like maybe we have a sweet craving or a salty craving or a crunchy or creamy craving, etc. These are some things that might come up when we're thinking of a snack. We want a dessert. We want something that comes after the meal, and it's probably going to be one of these three things that helps us to make our decision on what we snack on. If you want salty and crunchy, maybe you'll go lean towards more towards the chips. If you want sweet, maybe you lean more towards the cookies and the ice cream, like me. So, having cravings for me actually is not a problem that needs to be solved where we eradicate or completely get rid of the craving. Cravings are natural, okay? So cravings are going to come up. Again, it's not so much of the fact that we're craving a snack, it's what snack we actually consume during these cravings. So I already talked about some of my favorites, but here's something that's really important that has helped me to shift entirely the way that I thought about snacking and then what actually worked in terms of my weight loss journey when it came to snacking. I didn't get rid of snacking at all. What I did was I began to replace my favorite snacks with these. One, we want to have snacks that's hearty. When we talk about this word, if we use this word, a lot of times we're thinking of a meal, but snacks could be hearty as well. So when I looked at the empty calories of chips that I was eating, there was two things that came up for me. One was the type of chips that I was eating, like the ingredients that was actually inside of the chips, how they're processed, right? And then it was the fact that I could devour a whole bag of chips by myself. Like I would never get the smallest bag in the deli because to me it doesn't make sense to pay 50 cents for half of a bag of air. So it made sense to always get the $2, 2.50, or even what's now the $5 and $7 bag of big Doritos and devour that instead. I could still finish a whole bag of those, but obviously we already know Doritos are delicious to most people, but they're absolutely filled with nothing but junk. There's no nutritious value inside of Doritos that will help you to continue to lose weight and to keep the weight off. Let's be mindful about that, right? Is that if you have a specific goal in your weight loss journey, you need to be mindful about these kinds of snacks that's specific to that goal. So just having a bag of chips of Doritos wasn't helpful alone, but what I discovered was a different kind of chips, chips that were made from actual seeds, right? And that actually had other types of seeds in it too, like flax seeds or chia seeds, things that were actually nutritious, hearty, and helpful to staying fuller longer, satisfying my cravings, and also leading me to something that will make it more hearty. Now, the chips is only a part of the conversation when it comes to hearty, so I found a good brand of chips that I appreciated all the ingredients. They were either organic, something that I knew about and could read, and they came from a source that I knew of as well. But not just the chips by itself. You gotta add a side like guac. Now, most people are a fan of guac already, and most people are a fan of avocado. Avocado is one of the healthiest fruits that you can absolutely put inside of your diet that's going to provide you with healthy fats and a lot of fiber. Okay, so those two mixed together makes for a really hearty snack where you can actually portion out 10 chips and you can have your guac dip and you can actually begin to feel really full from having this satisfying snack. So we satisfy the salty, the crunchy, maybe even some of the creamy, and it's up to you of whether you still needed or wanted to add a sweet on the side. But for the most part, this is going to satisfy that salty, crunchy, creamy snacking and craving feeling. Okay, another one of my favorite hearty snacks is, okay, so that's one. Let's do another one here. Let's say this is A. B is going to be, we're going to bring in some veggies, and again, we're going to add a side of hummus, y'all. Look at the ingredients in hummus. I mean, it's chickpeas mixed up with a bunch of other things that you're going to find familiarity in, you're going to be familiar with. And y'all, if you take a bunch of veggies, broccoli, cucumbers, carrots, celery sticks, and dip them into some hummus, my personal favorite is the roasted red bell pepper hummus, and it's absolutely delicious. It absolutely satisfies a lot of the cravings here, the salty and the creamy, the crunchy, depending on what kind of veggies that you add to your dip. And maybe even some sweet, like some sweet little baby tomatoes. You can also dip those as well. And they're super low in calorie, high in hydration, and then obviously also other vitamins and minerals, especially if you're having raw veggies and fruits with your hummus. You can even add some, I do like the rice flour rice cakes, right? So they have wheat ones, and then they also just have plain old low calorie, low sodium rice cakes, and you could do that with some hummus. And again, put some cheese and some mozzarella cheese or some goat cheese, and put some tomatoes or some veggies on that bad boy. I'm just saying, like, these are very low calorie, but nutrient dense snacks that's actually going to aid in weight loss versus having the adverse effect of keeping it here in your belly or keeping it in some other part of your body where you can't break it down, you can't get to it, you can't burn those kind of calories because you're actually adding more calories to burn to your system versus what your system can use to help it to continue to burn what you already have in your body. So veggies and hummus is a bomb snack. And here's another one that I really like that it's easy to mix in some of the sweet, right? Because we're talking about a lot of salty things here, but some of us have a sweet tooth. Okay. I'm only giving some of my faves. There's a bunch that you can add to it, but I think these are fairly easy. Oat bites. Oatmeal, super nutrient dense with fiber. Also a bit of a protein source. But making an oat bowl, bro, oat bowl, like bites and oat ball bites. My New York accent's coming out here. I really hear it, but when I can't say my own words like that, I know. So oat bites, okay? You get it into a little ball, bro. Okay? So this is really easy. You cook up some oatmeal, very simple to do that. Add some of your favorite taste like cinnamon or nutmeg or uh, peanut butter. You can even add some dark chocolate if you like. And then you can also add some frozen berries, right? Or some sort of fruit. It doesn't have to be frozen, but I find it to be delicious. If you would do bananas, strawberry, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, whatever you have. And then you roll them into little balls and you refrigerate them overnight. So delicious, easy to hit a sweet craving, especially if you throw in the fruits. You can add some sea salts if you absolutely want something salty. Like if salty is one of your regular cravings, you can absolutely add some salt to your oatmeal. You can add some crunchy by dropping in some organic granola. And then obviously peanut butter sources or something else that's rich you can add as well for some creamy. But you're able to hit all of your cravings in your oat bites. They're so easy to make and they're so delicious. And they're such a treat. So this has been actually a really great alternative for me for ice cream, which I am really big on. um, but yeah, I honestly am satisfied by the oat bites. So if I think about ice cream, but I have oat bites and I eat my oat bites, I don't want the ice cream anymore. It's only in our mind where we live with these choices that we should have this particular kind of thing because only this particular kind of thing is going to satisfy my craving. Like if I think about a donut, I need to have that donut in order to satisfy my sweet tooth craving, but that's not necessarily the case. It's been so interesting to me how there's been times where I've used to have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as snacks. Like I would have my meal and then I would have a sandwich as a snack, like as dessert. Because I wanted the sweet, I wanted the crunchy or the creamy and the salty together. So it made sense to me to then now go and have 2 slices of bread with peanut butter and jelly after a meal already. So this made me very uncomfortably full, even though I was able to satisfy that craving. So it was very obvious to me that I was overeating my calories. So to swap that out, instead of having an entire sandwich, I was blown away by cutting up a quarter or a half of a banana, adding some red grapes or purple grapes on the side, like just a few, not even a lot. And then either, well, for me, I actually add actual peanuts. I have a whole jar of peanuts. So I put some peanuts on the side. If you still really want that creamy craving to be satisfied, then you can add 2 scoops of peanut butter. But I mean, just putting the peanut butter on the banana with a grape, oh my God, it's so good. And it satisfied the craving. Like I don't need the sandwiches anymore. I could just have a couple grapes or a few grapes. I could have a less than a handful of peanuts, maybe a palmful. Sometimes I could just do that on its own and skip the banana and those extra calories if I wanted to. And the peanut butter I could skip as well if I have the peanuts. So I say all this to say is that it is so easy to find an alternative and it's just as satisfying. If you don't find this to be true, I would still even say continue to explore and allow time for your palate to adjust because my palate had to adjust. Like if you're having and consuming a lot of products that has refined sugars and salts, you're prone to want to eat that stuff. It's almost like nicotine, y'all. It's like smoking a cigarette, right? It's like you smoke it for the nicotine. So you're addicted to the nicotine itself is not even the whole it's not even just the process of smoking the cigarette. It's the actual nicotine. The same thing happens with salt and sugars. So it's really important to be mindful about how much processed sugars you're having in your treats, and knowing that your palate may be like talking with your mind like, this is not really what we were going for. But I just want to say, like, try something else though. Like, try something else that's still conscious, mindful, and healthier, because it might just take time for you to adjust to this new way of being. I mean, going to Dunkin' Donuts and grabbing a donut, it's nothing like having a handful of grapes at home with, I don't know, some yogurt. So just give yourself some time to actually adapt to this new process and this new habit of eating healthy, of being more conscious and mindful about what you're consuming, and then also allowing yourself to adjust to the taste, because you'll find by the end of the snack that you've actually satisfied your craving. It's not like you still want or need the additional thing. You're full, you're good. So that's another thing too. So these are some of the hearty snacks that I've transitioned into. Like, I rarely just have chips by itself anymore. I have chips with a salsa or a guac. I'll have my veggies with some hummus, and then I'll also do some oat bites, and I'll just have them there and ready for whenever the craving does hit. That way, I don't have to worry about trying to get something or go somewhere to get something to satisfy a craving that feels like, if I don't do this right now, then it'll be the end of life, right? It's the worst decision possible if I don't do this right now. So, in terms of what and hardiness, these are three examples here. Now, next, we have hearty. Now, let's talk about homemade. I am not a huge fan of buying and consuming foods from outside, aside from, obviously the grocery store, but like going into a 7-Eleven and buying any packaged good, more than likely it's going to have preservatives and all these other additives inside of it that actually contributes to weight gain. So we're talking about weight loss. And when it comes to weight loss, doing things at home, just because you could be more conscious about what you're about to consume, is the better path. And I say the better path because I and my clients have found most success in actually having homemade nutrition versus having things from outside. So when it comes to homemade, for example, we already mentioned this. Like, buy the bag of chips, that's fine. But instead of getting Tostitos or whatever that brand is, I can't recall the name right now. I believe there's a Tostitos salsa dip. Maybe you make your own salsa dip. Chop up your own veggies with your own diced tomatoes. Make your own salsa dip. There are so many preservatives in the store packaged version. That's why I'm saying that. That if you were to actually just do it at home, that you bought your own organic veggies or whatever, you just bought your own veggies, right? Your own can of diced tomatoes that you found it super easy. It's a super easy recipe too. That you found your super easy recipe and made your own salsa dip. That adds to the nutrient density of the snack, so that your body can actually use these sources to help you lose weight versus to retain the weight. So making homemade salsa or your own veggie platter, like, people sleep on veggies and fruits, but like, they're so low in calorie that if you have a lot of them versus having 13 chips could easily be 160 calories, and 13 mixed pieces of celery, celery, broccoli, cauliflower, watermelon, apple slices, grapes, kiwi, and tomatoes is like not even that. It's like 90 calories. So, not even. Like not even, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why don't you just make your own veggie platter at home? If you want something sweet, that's fruits. Easy. Sweet equals fruits. And have all kinds of fruits. Like maybe you just like apples and bananas and that's cool. But like every now and again, try something different. Just have something different. Like I like to have peaches and plums, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and then I'll even go towards dragon fruit and papaya and just passion fruit and just have those in the fridge because I know that I might have a craving. Another one is sour. This for some people, sour is a craving. Like I love sour things. I love sour things. And so because I love sour things, what I do is I make sure that I have star fruit around, right? So sour comes and goes, so I don't always keep star fruit in my fridge. But if I want something sour, instead of going to buy like sour Skittles or sour Patch, which is or sour watermelon, sour belts, these are all the things that I used to consume on a regular basis. Instead of doing that, I'll actually go to the grocery store instead of the deli, and I'll buy a star fruit because star fruits also have this sour taste. It's kind of like a sour starburst. Try it, okay? So fruits could be sweet or sour. Obviously, green grapes can fulfill some of the sour taste. That's something that's natural or something citrusy. Okay. For this could be this could be salty as well. We already talked about some of the salty cravings of what you can make that's homemade. Obviously, your dips, your guac. Maybe you even make your own, um, like your own soup, like your own artichoke dip, some a creamy soup that you could dip your chips in or dip some bread in, then that will satisfy your salty. But regardless, these are things that you have in the house already and you're making at home to satisfy these cravings. When it comes to a veggie platter, you could put so many veggies and fruits on there that literally it doesn't even matter how much you eat. In my experience, because they're so low in calorie and so nutrient dense, vitamins and minerals and all these things, right? So that's important. Okay, whether you have a dip or not is not as important. If you use a dressing, obviously you can use dressings too. Just be mindful about how much. Don't put the dressing directly on your fruits and veggies, if you ask me, because sometimes I feel like we can have a heavy hand, right? So you might have a heavy hand and you might OD. Just saying. Just put the just put the dressing or the dip in the middle of your platter and dip it. Okay. And then next, we have your homemade trail mix, which is one of my favorite. Like I always buy a bag of nuts from Trader Joe's. I got my almonds sitting on my desk over there. I got a whole jug of peanuts. There's also the mixed versions, which uh, I say be careful of the mixed ones because some of them sometimes they add sugar. That's the only thing is if there's any dried fruit in there, they might have added some sugar, but you don't need to do that. You could just buy the nuts themselves. Look at the ingredients, just whole nuts, just that's it. If anything, they'll add some salt, and then you can also add some pretzels if you want some pretzels, or some veggie sticks if you want some veggie sticks, some dark chocolate if you want dark chocolate. And for me, what I absolutely love to do in terms of the sweetness in the trail mix, if you like sweet in your trail mix, is to add some frozen berries. Oh my god. I don't even know. Frozen blueberries for me is like a super treat, and it goes really well with dark chocolate. It goes really well with almonds, right? So you get to combine those. Oh, so good. You get to combine those and put that in your trail mix. Um, yeah, obviously it's not you don't keep everything in the freezer, but you could freeze the berries, and when you have a handful or a small bowl of trail mix, you'll also drop in your berries as well, and it's such a treat. It's so good. Like I hope you can feel my authenticity about this, because so many people are sad about what they're eating, or even just thinking about the concept of even eating healthy, where we don't realize like eating healthy actually tastes better than eating the junk stuff. Like my palate has completely shifted to the point where a majority of what I eat is homemade. And so when I go and I have food outside, the food actually sometimes doesn't even live up to my satisfaction or my standards anymore, because homemade food most of the time is just it's so much better, because you can get better at it. So if you're not good at making your own foods or your own plates or your own snacks per se, I want you to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and things can get better if you allow it to. Anyways, I digress. Trail mix is an amazing homemade snack that again is going to be nutrient dense and is going to hit your cravings. Okay, they're low in calories, and that is what's important when it comes to weight loss specifically, or being able to sustain tone and a tone and defined body, is making sure that your calories are at a low while you're still getting in all of your major macronutrients and satisfactions. So trail mix is another, and then I'm gonna give you one more because this is one of my favorites, and it actually segues into the third what that I wanted to talk to you about today. So the final one is a parfait, or it doesn't need to be frozen, but it can be, or frozen yogurt. Bruh. A parfait or frozen yogurt. That's been my replacement for ice cream and it's worked every time. In my mind, I'm here. I need the creamy, I need the sweet. Okay? And there is, I'm not saying that yogurt tastes like ice cream, because it doesn't. I'm saying that when you're at home and you have a craving, or when you just finished a meal and you're having a craving, that you know that the ice cream that you're going to purchase from the store, Turkey Hill, Breyers, it doesn't matter, um, that it's going to be loaded with calories. And if you're being mindful and conscious about weight loss, that you actually want to be mindful of how to still satisfy your craving, but with a better choice. So every now and again, if you go out and you're celebrating somewhere and they have ice cream cake, or they want to order tiramisu or tres leches and they bring that out, carrot cake, cheesecake, and you're gonna indulge, that's fine. That's occasional. But I'm talking about when you're home. So if you're at home and you're having one of these cravings, you can actually make a parfait or frozen yogurt for yourself, right? Or just a yogurt bowl or a yogurt cup for yourself, and it absolutely satisfies this creamy and sweet craving. So very often I'll use Greek yogurt. I'll mix up some berries. I'll even add some trail mix into there, um, and then some honey. Very easy, and that's it. I have easily created a parfait for myself, and if I put it in the freezer, then I have frozen yogurt for myself as well. Okay, either way is delicious. I think frozen is better in the summertime or when it's really hot outside. And there's one other thing that I like to do too, just to mix it up. But like, you can even still throw some other treats in there, like your dark chocolate or chocolate chips, granola, or even cookies. But we're gonna talk about what kind of cookie in just a second. Just know that when it comes to homemade, some of the things that you're purchasing outside, you can snack prep and create inside and just have it there. And it's ready to go. Okay? You can have it, it's ready to be consumed, and it's the better option if you're conscious about losing weight. Okay? So these are not an issue. Now, the final what when it comes to snacking that you want to be conscious of, Dun, 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 dun. No surprise that we're talking about protein in this conversation because protein is always a part of the conversation. Protein does so much in terms of weight loss that it has to be prioritized in the conversation. So if you're not having conversations about protein constantly, when you're talking about your weight loss journey or when you're talking about building more muscle mass or even becoming more defined, it's because you're not prioritizing protein. And the some of the easiest ways to prioritize protein is through snacking. People are thinking about their meals and they're like, oh, I can't eat 2 flanks of steak or 2 salmon steaks or 2 to 3 chicken breasts or 6 hard boiled eggs. Like, these are things that are suggested in order to help you to hit your your protein margins, right, based on your individual body. But I just want you to know that it doesn't always have to be through this big meal. You can actually add your protein through snacks. So, some of my favorite ways to add protein through snacks is we just talked about cookies. And I'm in love, not sponsored by Quest cookies because they use less than a gram of sugar, and for the most part, I'm okay with the ingredients. Definitely, you can definitely make your own protein cookies at home, by the way, which would probably be even a better suggestion. But if I was to purchase cookies outside, like I wasn't making them, I would pick up a Quest cookie. If you have another brand that you love and you're aware of the ingredients, please feel free to drop it in the comment box down below. And by the way, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel right now. Appreciate that. Alright, so you get cookies, yo. Buy a Quest cookie, and it already has at least 12 grams of protein. At least it has 12 grams of protein in it. An easy way to add in 12 grams of protein is through that cookie, which obviously is going to satisfy all kinds of cravings here, right? And then even with those cookies, you could put that inside of your yogurt too. Just saying. Some of us like the cookie dough kind of taste from the ice cream. Imagine some Greek yogurt, right, with a birthday cake Quest protein cookie, and you drop some of those bad boys in there. Ooh. If you wanted to add something else like some chocolate or whatever, then you could drop a couple pieces of dark chocolate in there. It's up to you. But finding a healthy protein snack, packaged snack, can be helpful. Aside from that, because I still like the idea of homemade. Oh, yeah, we're doing this. I forgot. B. Protein shake. You could do so much with a protein shake. I don't even think I have to go that deep into it, but obviously you can put all of the ingredients that we discussed in this conversation today. All of those things can go inside of a protein shake. There's other ways to add fiber inside of your protein shake that'll be helpful in making sure that you stay fuller longer. So, like, after you have this delicious snack, you're not going to need anything else, right? It's not like having just celery on its own, right? Trying to satisfy some crunchy craving, and then you're still wanting the chips after the celery because the celery is not exciting by itself. You actually needed the hummus with it, or you needed the dip with it. This is the same concept here. You can add whatever you want to your shake that is conscious, right? That it's a conscious choice that was going to help you to stay fuller longer, actually increase the macronutrient that you need in order to burn fat to begin with and build muscle mass, all the while still satisfying your craving. Okay? So I put a bunch of things inside of my protein shakes. It depends on which one that I'm making, but my favorite is peanut butter because it's easy. You throw in some cinnamon. Sometimes I throw in some nutmeg depending on how I'm feeling. You can add chocolate to it. You don't have to, but for the most part, I'll add either some oatmeal to mine and some granola. So good. Okay, you can add your oat bites in there. It gives it a nice little creamy. I mean, that's close to ice cream too. It gives you this creamy effect. And so you can also do pancakes with a, oh, come on, protein pancakes. You can make meals with your protein. Obviously, you can do protein shake, pancakes, waffles. Some people look at this as dessert, so we're gonna add that in there, okay? So you got cookies, there's protein chips. So you want those chips. You might want to try some of those protein chips out there. Quest is also another brand that does chips. It's up to you whether you enjoy them or not. You get to decide that. It's not important, but at least you have options and alternatives. Okay, you can get healthy protein popcorn now. I believe Khloe Kardashian has one. Cloud, something like that. So try those. I mean, there's literally so many things. There's so many things that you could do. Yeah. I mean, we'll just put it here. Some people underestimate what you could do with a hard boiled egg, butter. You can do a lot. So when we're talking about snacks again, the very first way of snacking we talked about was having a hearty snack. So think about having hard boiled eggs if that is something that you enjoy, right? And you can either dice up those eggs and add it to a can of tuna, right? That you can either have again with some chips, a cracker, or a rice cake, or you can eat it as is. You can add so much seasoning to hard-boiled eggs. That's another thing that I love about hard-boiled eggs is that you could do pepper, you could do some sea salt, and then you could do some like a pickle, dill, pepper kind of seasoning or everything seasoning. It's so good. And it's so easy and it's also filling and it also hits a craving. Like you actually don't even realize that it hits this craving. So yeah, eggs are a great way to add in sources of protein. On average, in your eggs, you're going to get 6 grams of protein. If not, maybe you'll get 3. It depends on what you purchase. You'll be able to find that on the ingredients label. But nonetheless, if you have 3 of those, then you're going to definitely be fuller. You're definitely going to be able to hit some of those cravings. And you're going to be able to add some variety and diversity to the way that you snack. You can have the eggs by itself or you can add it to something else like I just told you about the tuna, right? So not necessarily a tuna sandwich. You have that bad boy on a cracker, okay? Or a chip or something. But yeah, protein is a great way to snack that's going to help you along on your weight loss journey. So we now just spoke about the what. I gave you those 3 points, right? You have hearty, we have homemade, and then we have protein. It's always a part of the conversation. Now, the final tip I want to give you about snacking, aside from what you're snacking on, that is either the problem or the solution, not snacking itself, just what it is. And then the second perspective we need to look at and our habits is around the how. How do you snack? How do you actually consume your snacks? Because here's what's important. You definitely want to be mindful about super important. Keeping junk foods away from your home. So the problem when it comes to how you snack is what you actually have in your house to snack on. So it's not the snack in itself. If I want to snack and whether I'm having a craving that I know or not, I know that I have almonds here. I know that I have fruits here. I have a couple of dips here. But anyways, it's going to be one of those things that I'm going to eat. If those are not going to necessarily fulfill a craving, I actually find that I opt out of having anything at all. because I don't have any other option, and there's no junk food here. There's rarely junk food here. So that's been helpful in my weight loss journey. That's been helpful for my clients as well, who's been looking forward to losing weight and to keeping more definition and tone in their body. So we want to make it as hard as possible to get to junk. Like, if you're craving Doritos, if you're craving Dunkin' Donuts or donut, whatever, you actually need to leave your house and go and get it. Now, for some people, that's common and that's an actual routine already. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do a run and go get it. But the thing is that if you actually not just make sure the junk food is away, but also keep keep your snack pantry full with options, right? Those conscious choices that you made while you were shopping for them, keep it full inside of your pantry. Explore, find those alternatives to cravings that you know you typically have, because they don't really change much. Like, if you live near a Dunkin' Donuts and you love donuts, or you're used to getting a donut from that Dunkin' Donuts, it's going to be very easy for you to just say, okay, well, I'm just going to go get a donut from there. Therefore, it's going to be that much more important that you're able to find an alternative to a donut, something that's healthier, something that's close to tasting, something that you've already tried when you've had this craving. You were able to opt into something else and it satisfied that craving, so you didn't need to leave the house after all. Okay? It's really important to have things inside of your house that contributes to your weight loss journey and to keep the junk away. And by the way, I don't mean away like at the top of the pantry in a closet. I mean like not in your house at all. I understand that for some people that's actually not optional. Like, maybe you have kids, and for some people it's fine. They find it fine for them to give it to their kids. And so they'll have all these snacks in their pantry for their kids. Or maybe it's just your partner or your family, whoever else you live with. They buy their own stuff and they put their stuff in the pantry. I highly recommend that you create your own storage space for snacks. And I mean it. Like, I have my own section inside of the fridge. When I have certain snacks that I want to have, I literally will label it that it's mine. And or I have a space for where I keep other snacks, like that I don't have to go inside of a pantry where I know that there's junk food. I don't even need to tempt myself with it, because I already have my own pantry full of snacks that I'm excited about, and I get to go into that pantry and choose something to satisfy my craving. Okay, Mamba. So, you want to keep junk food away as far as possible. Then, not only do you want to do that, but you also want to portion out your snacks. Super duper important to portion out your snacks. So, let's say you did buy a bag of a healthier option of chips. Good for you. But guess what? You don't want to grab that entire bag of chips and now go sit on the couch or sit on your bed. Don't take it to your room. Instead, take a handful, put it out into a bowl or in a napkin on the side with whatever dip that you're choosing or whatever else you're snacking on. Portion out your snacks as well. So don't just eat it from the package that it's already in, or don't just eat it from the pot that it's already in, or a bowl. Try to portion out a palm size and start with that. If you find that you want more after, then that's fine. Go and get your seconds. But again, we're kind of giving ourselves this concept of distance, right? Away from making poor decisions. We want to make the best decisions possible because we have good choices, right? So we have the choice to portion out our snacks by putting it in a smaller plate or out on the side and then eating that first before going for the next round. So portion out your snacks is a great how to keep in mind. And then finally, even though there's plenty, y'all, but I'm going to give you the basis of what has really helped me. These are the top 3 things that's helped me. The next is to drink more water. And that comes in a lot of forms, because I realize that it's not just plain water that is helpful. There's other kinds of water that's helpful too. Plain water is the best water, right? But there's times where we have, again, these cravings, and so we want to be mindful about how we're snacking. So let's say if you don't have any snacks in your pantry, you ran out of healthy snacks, all you have is terrible options or no options, you're not going outside, you've already made that amazing decision for yourself. So what are you going to do to satisfy this craving? You want a snack, drink some water. So yes, you can have water on its own, but I found it amazing to actually create flavored water. You could create your own flavored water. You can actually add fruits to your water to create flavored water for yourself. There is a flavored water that I sell through my third party Herbalife, and the link is down in the description below if you're interested. I'll put the direct link to flavoring your water that's really helpful for weight loss specifically, but also that gives you some sort of sweetness that adds to your hydration. Then you also have things like coconut waters, right? Coconut water is a great option to snacking, right? A lot of times we think that we want this particular thing that's popping up in our mind, and I'm telling you, a lot of the times you'll find that if you just choose, if you just make a decision that you're not going to go this path, but this path, right? I'm not gonna go and open a bag of chips. Instead, I'm just going to have this fruit water that I made, that you actually become satisfied. Mostly because you become full and you can't fit anything else. And that's great because we need to keep our calories low. We want to stay in a caloric deficit if we're focused on losing weight or reducing body fat. One more other flavor water that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna write these all out actually, is tea. Tea is slept on. It's winter here on the East Coast, so tea is like an easy choice for many of us, and so we should make you should make that choice. Okay, so we got cocoa water, we got fruit waters or juices. Like y'all, I it's so funny how much I like open the fridge by habit, and I'm like, oh man, we're out of orange juice, but we have oranges, and yeah, you want the juice, like just the juice itself, but like just slicing an orange and biting into it, not even eating the whole orange, but just biting into it and biting all the like getting all of the juice out is so satisfying and easy and the same thing, if not better. Um, but fruit juices, fruit water. Um, you got actual fruit. Make your own. Like just you can make it your own. You can make it your own. It's so simple, and it works. Like I just want you to know that you have options and that they work. The first time, the first go around with a lot of things, you're gonna be like, nah, and that's okay. And it could stay a no. I'm not telling you that you should continue to try to persuade yourself that you like something that you do not. It's not about that. It's about knowing that you have alternative options and being like, oh, okay, I could kind of see me doing this. And you'll find that naturally your body is going to adapt. The same way it adapts inside of the gym from lifting weights is not very different when it comes to nutrition. Like trying Star Fruit for the first time and noticing that it was fairly close to the sour cravings that I would have for candies, for sour candies, I said, oh, okay, like, yeah, I could see myself munching on a few of these pieces of star fruit instead of Skittles or sour belts. That so much so that I actually found that the cravings reduced itself because I knew that I would have a star fruit instead. Even if I think about Skittles or sour belts right now, like yeah, I mean occasionally that'll be cool, but I'm like it's nowhere near what I used to feel and how I used to react and respond to those things. Not even close. Like my first instinct now is to find a star fruit, and if I could find a star fruit and I'm having that crave it, immediately it's satisfied, and then I don't actually crave it for quite a while. So that's what's nice as well, is that the body naturally learns how to adapt to its environments and what you give it. There's, of course, there's always exceptions, but they're very few, especially for the average person. I really hope that today's content has helped you to understand snacking a bit better, to know that it's not snacking that's the problem. It's just what you're snacking on and how you're snacking on those things. And so I hope I was able to provide you with a bit of relief that you don't need to get rid of your favorite types of snacks, or you don't need to get rid of your cravings. You just want to explore and discover healthier alternatives, options, pathways, and habits so that you can continue to enjoy and indulge in the things that you love, but a little bit more mindfully. And with that, my friends, I see you in the next one. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave your comments down below about the next conversation you would like to have. Where are you at on your journey? What is it that you need coaching or help with? I'll be happy to answer those questions. And be sure to check out the links in the description box down below. Peace.